This hair is just my favorite. I feel like the only thing is getting the ends to stay curly has been a challenge. I feel like they're looking a little less festive than I wanted, but we are here now. But I just want you to know I will probably be flexi rodding them because I feel like the Bantu knot curls, like it looks good for like a day. I think the flexi rod might be the move. It's gonna take a lot longer. It's not gonna be as simple, but I feel like I got some good, you know, I feel like I got some good waves off of the Bantu knots, but I feel like I'm gonna get more definition with the flexi rods. And the flexi rods are like the mini ones. They're the skinny ones. They're not super fat. Cause I really want some baby curls on the bottom, and I really want to redo the whole front. Cause I want the whole front to be like baby, like chunky baby curls. Like I really want bangs bad as fuck, bitch. I never really bang, but there's just something about a lock bang. Anyways, I'm gonna keep on stroking my Marleys because I can, but I wanted to make a little video about discomfort. I wanted to make it a live video because again, I feel like somebody asked me if I'm ever gonna make like pre-recorded videos, and like, no. I just don't have the patience to do it. I don't have the editing energy. I just don't have it. I feel like I have ideas about a movie I want to make, and I'm still getting my ideas together. I have a couple ideas for some movies I want to create. But I like the live because there have been moments in the live that have been really amazing because other people were here sharing. And I don't want to stop that. I also want to name that like being like having privileges means that there's always going to be moments where you really should like consider what other people are sharing about the same topic. And again, there's a lot of moments where white people say something and it's just all white people. There's nobody there. Like there's so many moments where somebody privileged says something and it's so nice. It's such a nice thing to say. Or it's said nicer than it really needs to be. But with that being said, I wanted to talk about discomfort for a moment because there is I don't want to say a thought that just popped into my head, but I have been trying to sit with a conversation that's been unfolding. Like it's several combos in one. And before I get into it, I want to name that like whiteness is a series of behaviors. And one of the biggest components to white supremacy is comfort. I want us to consider how comfortable so many non-Black folks have been for so long. I want us to consider the comfort of racial stereotypes that have, again, been pervasive in like movies and art and just, again, jokes that people make in real life. Like I want us to consider the comfort that so many people have here and how, again, part of white supremacy living and lasting for so long is not is privileged people being comfortable. And so with that being said, I wanted to name that today I've been ruffling feathers. I've been trying to make people uncomfortable on purpose. And I know some people may not appreciate that. And I know some people may think that that's problematic, and that's just fine. I think that unfortunately, I think there will be some people who make people uncomfortable in much more violent ways that, again, I'm not interested in, but I am interested in the levels of comfort that we can challenge in our real life, in our day to day. Because again, there are so many moments to pop out, but I'm aware and made aware today that popping out has consequences. And I want to say that, like, I've been looking for housing like since like last month when I was told by my landlord that she's going to sell this house to a company that is buying everything here and making everything over $1,000, like anything. And so that sucks. But what sucks more is that I was in the middle of like talking to someone about housing And while also posting about white supremacy in this way, where I'm acknowledging that, like, there's nothing anyone black needs to be doing, that it's really on the rest of us. And the ways that I'm trying to remind everyone that I connect with that that there is a level of comfort that, like, everyone who's not black, and again, I don't want to talk about black folks and the comfort that they can be, again, participating in, because I really just feel like I'd rather focus on my community and white folk, because again, barely anyone talks about mixed people. And when I say barely anyone, what I mean is barely any mixed folks talk about our complicity in harm against black folk. And so I'd rather set myself apart in that way, because there are so many mixed folks that I've met recently that really think that there are black folks that are trying to hurt us as mixed people. And I want to hold that there has never, ever been a time where anyone black has ever harmed my mixed self because I am a mixed person and I was in their spaces. I want to name that even if a black person was curious or asking questions about my heritage, it was never hurtful. And even if it was, they didn't owe me that grace. But I think it's important to name that, like, most black folks that I've met, uh, have been very, very gracious with me and have never embarrassed me or like tried to make me feel bad. And I think about the ways that I wasn't owed that. And I'm trying to hold in this moment that, like, my comfort has definitely been prioritized by people who did not need to prioritize it. And I've had to actually sit with myself and hold my own hand and be like, yo, like, yeah, your feelings were hurt, but like they didn't hurt you. Like they didn't abuse you, they didn't harm you. Like, you had expectations, you had desires, you had all these ways of maybe seeing that person, maybe wanting maybe desiring connection, but only being able to desire mammyship. Like, I want to hold the ways that, like, as a lighter skinned mixed person, I am sure I over expected things from black women, from black folks. As I said in a video very recently, the video called Closure, I named that, like, I used to think, like, why wouldn't me and other black women get along? I did not consider that the harm that us mixed folks have done to so many black folks, not just black women, not just black trans women, not just black folk in general, but again, the ways that we have been centered in black spaces as black folks, the ways we've been manipulated to think that we are the black people and think things like our blackness is settled, or we have this many black people in our family, so now we're black. Like, the ways in which mixed people have caused harm, there are so many black folks who do not even touch the conversation. And I'm not saying that they can't or they don't want to. What I'm trying to name is that it is so rare that anyone black is really trying to embarrass or harm mixed people. I do believe that we're going to see more and more black folks disconnect from the idea that they owe us anything. But that idea isn't something that they just came up with. There are a lot of mixed people who have been manipulating and have been manipulated. And I want to just punch in really quick and say that there was a moment where somebody said to me, if we as black folk don't claim y'all, who do we have? And I want to name that there are so many black folks that are not mixed, that are existing in the world. And I'm not saying this as just like a throwaway. I'm just trying to name that, like, us mixed folks have caused so much harm that there are black folks trying to hold, if we don't support you, how does that look for us? Supporting mixed people seeming like a win for black folks is, again, another moment to sit with how much manipulation, gaslighting, harm mixed folks have done to black folks. And again, this conversation is not had often, and so people will be uncomfortable, which is why the video is called Discomfort. I want us to sit with the reality that no one black owes anyone anything, and I want us to also hold that us mixed folks may have desires for connection, may have desires for community, and we could be building it with our fellow mixed selves. Could be building it, and it could be centered around the reality that anti-blackness is fucked up, and so we should always be working towards abolition. Like just like I try to impress the white people, like we need you to take on roles. You don't like you're saying you're white, okay? A white what? A white what? Whiteness allows a lot of roles to be held. There are white people that can do all types of things on this plantation, and many of you are choosing to be white spectators. You're choosing to be maybe white confessionals. You know, when white people decide, oh, I'm going to talk about how whiteness is harming uh, black folks, basically piggybacking off of what black folks have said, and then maybe saying me, us sometimes. Again, I personally feel like I'm at like light skin confessional where it's like I'm not just a lighter skin mixed person. I'm also confessing things that again I would not be able to see as harm without listening to marginalized people. To actualize, to dismantle within the plantation within, there's a plantation within. I need folks to consider who you are here on the fucking global plantation because the United States is not the only plantation. It's global. But again, the ways that here in America, who are we? Are we willing to be candid? What else, though? Are we willing to go further than that? How are we willing to be a traitor to the spell work of race? How are we willing to show that whiteness is not real, supremacy is not innate, and that also whiteness is a system of behavior? That whiteness isn't just how someone looks. I've been white before. I may operate white again. I may have a colonized thought again. I just want folks to consider we can't keep on operating like people are just these instances of letting us down or failing us. Like people are unlearning and colonized at the same motherfucking time. And it's something that's taken a while to sit with because again, another hallmark of white supremacy, this or that thinking, the idea that there can't be a nuanced understanding, that things can't be layered, that we can't have multiple perspectives, that there can't be many truths. Again, white supremacy really leads us to say that person looks not white to me, so they are black now. Or we can see some sort of phenotype. Again, whiteness has people squinting and listening deeply into people communicating. Again, whiteness really expects us to constantly be appraising people as worthy or as people to exploit. And so I want us to hold that, like part of this video is holding the lack of comfort that many people are going to feel in this conversation. It is not just about someone looking white. All of us can be colonized in behavior. Anyone can practice colonized behavior. When we talk about whiteness in a particular way, a lot of us feel safer. And I know that because as a mixed person, I felt very safe talking about white people, very comfortable talking about whiteness as long as I was couching it in people who looked a certain way. Holding that I've been white before, that I've been colonized in behavior, that I've practiced whiteness, that takes more sitting with your shame, because who wants to say that they've operated like a colonizer? Who wants to sit with the reality that like colonized behavior is the problem? Who wants to sit with the system as the issue and that we can't just look at people and decide we know who they are and how they're going to behave? How can we hold that at the same time? These are things that I'm sitting with, but I really want to say, and this kind of just hit me in the fucking head. And I just want to say trigger warning for a random wayward mixed light skinned person making a commentary about black cis men. Just like I try to remind people of color that it's actually it's normal to hate, be disgusted by white people on sight, that makes sense. I need people to hold that like white people, or rather anti-whiteness, is so fucking real and valid. And unfortunately, because there is a system of anti-blackness, there will absolutely be a system of anti-whiteness. There's a pot for every lid, right? or a lid for every pot. Like, there's no way to create a system of harm that's this aggressive and not be met with it in opposite. And again, even the idea that anti-whiteness is opposite, when most people practice anti-whiteness by staying away from white people. Anti-blackness is not practiced by staying away from black people, quite the opposite. So with that being said, the way whiteness operates within us, lighter skinned people, the ways that we are seen as a buffer. And I want us also to hold that, like, white people made up these words. Like, white people looked at everybody non-white and was like, you're from this landmass called Asian. You're from a landmass called Indian. Like, that's how they were doing it, bitch. That's how they were doing it. Very basic. So with that being said, the ways we talk about race is fake, but also it is always about reaffirming that whiteness is supreme. The ways we talk about people, the ways we categorize people, the ways we look at people deeply when they're cashew and not toenail. Again, the ways that we're constantly scrutinizing how people look and who they must be. It is a part of this system. And so with that being said, I want to name that, just like it's normal to hate white people. And again, like I keep pausing at this point because again, like this was there's just something about talking about it that just like causes me so much fucking like stress in my body, because I know that there's somebody white out there that's like, oh, that means that I'm in danger. And it's like, no, bitch, like me hating white people means that I get to feel comfortable in my anger around what y'all have done historically, but also recently. Again, it's the way that white people operate. Like, chattel slavery was a moment in time that everyone alive today should forget about. And I'm not going to tell the story, but it's the ways that me and fellow mixed people and non-Black American people had a conversation in New Orleans where a teacher told me that she doesn't think chattel slavery should be taught in schools. And so I'm sitting with someone deep dark skinned from the Virgin Islands, and I'm wondering, like, what are they thinking about this convo? Because I'm getting mad. I'm supposed to be doing a birthday tarot card reading. I'm getting angry as fuck because I'm like, not this light skinned, like, biracial person telling me that kids don't need to know about chattel slavery in schools. And I'm literally like, well, like, are we supposed to just pretend like it didn't happen until they get older and like have experienced a bunch of weird shit? Because I'm like, even being told what I was told, like, it gave me some context for some of the weird things that have been said to me. But even that moment where I'm sitting with the reality that, like, I didn't get my needs met, but I couldn't imagine like not hearing about that as a child. And like, again, like just the experience of that. But again, I'm sitting with someone who's from the Virgin Islands, who's deep dark skinned, and I'm looking at them and they literally were like, yo, I didn't even know I was Black till I got to America. And I'm like, well, and so again, it's the ways that, like, when we talk about like who is Black, like, it's very regional, but it's also there's so many layers to the conversation at this point. But one thing I just want to say, just to bounce back to, it's okay to hate white people. It's okay to hate your op. It's okay to hate privileged people. Like, the idea that anyone deep dark skin doesn't like lighter skin people, doesn't trust light skin people, like, it's not reverse colorism. It's not that. Again, a lot of times when marginalized people hate people who are privileged, it's because we've been doing things to them now too. It's not just, oh, chattel slavery, Jim Crow. No. It's not just that. It's also now. And so again, it's the ways that, like, if someone deep dark skin doesn't like me or like were to like do anything towards me or anything like that, I would at least have some framework for why. You feel me? Like, I would at least be like, okay. And again, I'm grateful that I never got to a point where I was like, oh, because again, I want to be super candid. For the most part, most Black women have never done a damn thing to me. Yes, I've had conflicts with some Black folks, sure. But like, I've never got to a point where I was like, there's something going on with deep dark skin people. Like, I'm so fucking grateful. Ooh, but again, it's the ways that I thought I was a Black person. So like, again, it's the ways that I'm like, I just, again, I never believed that deep dark skinned people were anything less, but it's also the ways that I thought I was going through exactly the same thing. I was having exactly the same experience, and I definitely wasn't. And again, I'm grateful that I was able to listen to deep dark skinned people and take a moment to just shift my content and shift around communicating, because again, there were definitely moments where people were challenging me about colorism or my privilege, and I was uneducated, and I wish I would have taken that as a moment like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, let me go read, let me go listen. But unfortunately, it wasn't until the pandemic that I actually like sat with many deep dark skinned people sharing, again, not for me, sharing for themselves, sharing because we're all stuck in the house, and a lot of light skinned people were popping out and asking crazy ass questions and being weirdos. And so again, I was in so many spaces witnessing what deep dark skinned people were saying, and I had to also hold that, like, a lot of times I'd be around white people, and again, it's the ways that I'm not going to ever make it seem like no white people, like, again, I can't recall any white person saying anything that I was close with about deep dark skinned people. Like, I can't remember that. I don't believe that that's the case, because again, I'm thinking I'm a black person. Why the fuck would I stand for that? But again, the ways that, like, even being around white people and not considering like this white person could be doing something, and this deep dark skinned person may not feel safe to tell me about the harm that this white person is doing, because I seem like I'm friends with them. And so even now, like, my standards around like being cool with white people or bringing someone black around somebody white, like, it's not the same as it was in the past. I used to think that I could trust this white person because I could trust this white person, and now I'm at a point where it's like, let's give it some time. But also, before me and my black friend go anywhere, I'm like, hey sis, like, pineapples, if this white person says something weird, like, or if this white person does something strange, you don't have to say a damn thing other than pineapples, or send me a pineapple emoji, and from there we'll leave. But again, like, even getting to a point where I started to think about that, started to think about planning with someone more marginalized than myself when we're going out, when we're doing things, or even checking in about people's behavior when I'm in mixed company. Like, these are things that, like, again, no one taught me to do. They started to make sense the more I heard from deep dark skinned people. And I'm grateful for deep dark skinned people sharing their experiences so I can hear ways to tap in and share and help. But again, it's the ways that, as I'm saying this and as I'm thinking about this, I had to hold that there are some people trying to make it seem like there's a gender wars happening right now amongst Black Americans and African people that's being instigated by African people. And it's awkward, because what I see personally is many things, many things. First, I think that the racist bots are on 1,000. Between me and you, I've seen so much AI racist slop recently, and like, for a while, I thought it was gone, but I fear the Trump ape Obama shit like really did amp up the anti-blackness again. And again, I know they're paying for this. They're the only people with money. Like, it's so obvious. Like, they're paying for like a racist melee on the internet to like they know we're addicted to our phones. They know we're addicted to content. They know we're on these motherfucking devices scrolling. Like, they're throwing it at us. With that being said, there's a way that there's conversations unfolding that I want to interject on. I want to interject on bad, because I've seen people trying to make it seem like there are like non-Black Americans who want Black American people to fight. And it's awkward because there are going to be Black women that really hate Black men. And I want us to hold that that's not a failure of anyone Black. I really want folks to consider that. Like, just like there's gonna be some Black trans people that hate Black cis people. Like, I want folks to hold that like there are gonna be people outside of community within community that again are choosing to have solidarity with folks who again are not tapping into transphobia. And I want folks to consider that like just because you're a black person, it doesn't mean you know all black people, and that's okay. That's okay. There are going to be neurodivergent black people who don't pick up on the cues, that don't understand the danger that you do. Maybe share with them instead of judging them. I'm trying to hold that, like, there's going to be a lack of comfort at times, and that's good. That's a good thing. Sometimes that lack of comfort really lets you know something fucked up is happening. And I wish we would hold that, like, the lack of comfort could be a moment to transition, to take stock, to ask questions, to concern ourselves with what could be happening with everyone else, not just our own discomfort. Should we focus? But again, it's so easy to do that. As a privileged person, it's so easy for me to retreat and hide and get away from conversations that again are are not comfortable, but they're necessary. And again, how would I know if I hadn't had conversations that were again very uncomfortable, but they led to intimacy, they led to this connection that was ethical and equitable. It led to people choosing themselves over forcing a script and performance. Like, I want us to consider that sometimes our lack of comfort in a situation can be something that pushes us to communicate and pushes us to ask questions and pushes us to talk more. But I've seen it happen too, where our lack of comfort for pushes us to run, pushes us to delete, block. And again, I've been on both sides. I've been on both sides of being comfortable and being uncomfortable and reacting and responding. And I just want to hold that, like, no one is bad for being colonized, but the issue really lies in holding that decolonizing is going to happen within community. And I know it's really easy to get away from people. It's much harder to sit with the reality that, like, this is not how we are innately. Like, this is part of being socialized. This is part of being colonized. This is part of being a part of a closed society that has practices that you learn through humiliation and isolation and judgment, bullying. There's so many things we learn because of pain. And I do want to mention that I would love to do an Epstein grief room just because I really want folks to be able to talk about the things that they've read. There's been 1,001 Dalmatians. And I'm not trying to be funny. I really shouldn't have made a joke. There have been so many things that came out recently about the Epstein list and just all of these. Like, again, as we talked about before, the way that they're releasing the Epstein files is manipulative, but it's also abusive mentally. And I'll post some links in the comments below so people can get into some of the information that I'm sharing. But I really want folks to be able to unpack how they're feeling, because some of us have been sexually assaulted. Many of us probably. I hate to say that, but the statistics are not looking good. And so, with that being said, like, the ways that I've seen videos of things that were unspeakable, the things I've read on message boards, like, whew, there have been so many stories that really had me just sitting with the ways that so many people know. So many people know. And before I go any further, watch Harlots, please. Because again, I feel like every time I read something from that shit, I swear to God, I think about that movie or that series. I think about the ways that a lot of these people I think about all the mothers that stood by, that thought it made sense to capitalize off their child being abused. And again, the ways that, like, people really be wondering, like, how they have access to these children. And it's just, again, it's the ways that, like, I was a kid that was everywhere. I just went anywhere. And again, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm connected to Epstein in any way. What I'm trying to offer is, like, a lot of the girls were in foster care, were adoptees, were ambitious younger women who thought that they would be being helped. And again, I think about Virginia Giuffre's story, her talking about, she was riding horses and just the ways that like she was studying to be a massage therapist. And just from there, the ways that like she was an industrious young femme person who wanted to enterprise clearly to get money. And again, the ways that like the lack of protection for so many femmes is a lack of support and foundational, just any kind of scaffolding. And again, the ways that like a lot of like wilder things could have happened to me. I'm not saying wild things didn't happen. What I'm offering is that like there wasn't ever a moment. Let me not do that. Because if I'm being real, I feel like my first partner was like very much like a man that had like six figures and was like again, like very controlling, and I didn't have a family to go back to really. Like I didn't have anything to go back to, so why wouldn't I stay here? And again, the ways that like being abused as a femme a lot of times is lack of support from your family, lack of support from your mother, lack of support from your father, lack of support from anybody. And again, the ways that some of us know that, and maybe you went to school, maybe you started your own business, whatever the case may be, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. But what I'm trying to offer is that like the Jeffrey Epstein files that are coming out are very much connected to femmes not only not having resources, but so many powerful men and law enforcement that were absolutely complicit. And again, I'm hoping that we can hold that the ways we think about the world is not it's not. I just think about how like since we've been young, like we've seen so many ways to be a woman, a mother, a child, a daughter. Like I think of all these things that like already are inside of us, like to think or believe. And then I think about the ways that your family is. And the ways other people's families are, like the families that you like wished you could be a part of. Or like those friends from like that that town you lived in. I'm obviously like just like going in. I'm just saying though, like there's so many moments where like we are being taught this is how you should be. And so I'm hoping people can hold that like there's no right way to behave right now. Yes, we are in the beginning of a new age. I've been sharing that for a while. I know some people don't want to hear that, but bitch, I actually just found out I'm in my Saturn return. I also just found out that like Saturn is at 0 degrees Aries. So, friends, please, please, please drink water. We're dealing with a very fiery, fiery Saturnian energy. And this, I heard that like Saturn's going to be in Aries for a while. And Saturn and Aries are not, like, they're not friends, but it's more that Saturn is old as fuck and Aries is young as fuck. And so it's like an elder maybe getting a rejuvenation. Like I think some of the Capricorns, I don't know about you, but I feel very, I don't know, like I feel I've been feeling really playful and silly, but I've also been feeling like very strategic, like mentally. But at the same time, I feel like when I first got here, I was saying something completely different. And I know this is a jumble. I know it seems like a lot, but I promise you, I'm going to get back to my point. Basically, I want to wrap this up by saying fuck Jeffrey Epstein, fuck all abusers, but also watch Harlots, please, because this shit goes all the way to the crown. Okay? I don't believe for 1 minute that it's not beyond the realms that we even are able to see. Like it's the way that we look at. It's just so funny to me how like we allegedly dumped some tea in a harbor, so that made us free, but we still fuck with the queen. We still be chilling with these people. Like it's funny as hell to me in retrospect. Just the lies that whiteness tells, so that it can seem like it has some cultural fucking history outside of just raping, pillaging, causing harm and chaos and doom. Again, they need them castles, bitch, and all them horses and all that bullshit to make you think something's happening there. Nothing's happening there. That is a fucking haunted plantation. Like, that's the thing about it. These castles are fucking plantations as well. Anyways, getting back to discomfort, there are going to be many people who dislike many people right now. And maybe it's hate, sure, but it could also be righteous rage. I want us to hold that, like, sure, like you could say that I hate white people. And sometimes I do say I hate white people. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I fucking hate white people. Like sometimes I do say that. But then sometimes, I might have a cup of tea, might have had a good snack, and I'll be like, I really hate colonized behavior. You know what I mean? There are times where I definitely try to pull back and hold that, like, how white people behave is not innate. I try to hold that sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes I forget. I try to remember that, like, whiteness is not real and that they're being dehumanized too. I try to stretch. I do. But there's going to be moments where there are going to be people of color who don't have that language. Not yet. And they're gonna say, I fucking hate white people. And they're not gonna be more nuanced than that. And they don't fucking have to be. And I want us to hold that there are gonna be black women that really hate black men. And unfortunately, as I said, there are going to be some black trans folk that really hate black cis folk. There are going to be black queer people who really hate black straight people. It's unfortunate. But I want us to hold that, like, there will be moments where people will be in community, seemingly, they may feel like they could be, and there will be a conversation that unfolds that lets that person know, ooh, you don't see the anti-blackness over here yet. And so again, it's a big ass, giant performance that many of us still think rests on how people look. And while lookism is absolutely part of it, and I'll never diminish that, I will never stop letting folk know I've been white before. I've absolutely been white in my behavior and my practice. I've definitely practiced whiteness. And I might do it again. I might have a colonized thought again. What are we going to do? Put me in jail? No. What we're going to do is consider that all of us have had some colonized thought. And I'm grateful if anyone takes the time to acknowledge it. Because again, me sharing about the ways that I saw myself as a black person because of what my family was telling me, what some black folk were telling me, many fellow mixed people, mostly black men. Again, it's the ways that, like, there were so many people around, like, when I was claiming black identity. But again, it's the ways so many people scattered. When I start talking about white supremacy, start talking about whiteness as a colonized behavior, many people realized, we can't just talk about white people all day. No, we can't. We actually can't afford that at this point. And again, I'm so annoyed coming here, actually, because some white people decided to get in their feelings again to get me banned, bitch. You could not say it nice enough for these people. But I just got in such a fucking annoyed ass mood because it's like every time I want to talk about the way white people have done me, they always do some weird shit like get me banned, or they always get me banned for being racist. And it's awkward because the posts be like, don't y'all realize, like, black folk, like, literally don't, like, there's nothing that they can do. Like, it's clearly not their problem. Like, it's clearly the rest of us. Like, that's getting me banned. Acknowledging that, like, the work seems to need to be coming from us. So many people, like, just again, reporting my account. Somebody said I was using whiteness as a buzzword, and I was like, whoa. And it was a white trans man. And I was like, yo, and the thing is, it's an app where, like, it's a lot of, like, white queer people. There's some queer people of color, sure, but it's mostly white queers. And I'm on that app because there was some good conversation, but now, oh my God, all the white people are scared of being racist. And hey, you are. You are. You are. You are. You are. You have to hold that. Like, honestly, like, bitch, I'm about to, you know what? You know what? I'm about to do some white grief doulaing or some shit, bitch. Like, that's really what I'm about to do. Cause I just, again, I'm not trying to play with white people, but it's like, y'all really gotta sit with y'all grief. Like, collectively, like, y'all really gotta sit with what the fuck you thought was happening here again. White people are not uncomfortable enough. They're not. And I hate to say this, but their lack of comfort is part of the dehumanization that happens to white people by taking on the performance of whiteness. Think about it. Think about when people try to tell people of color they're behaving white. What are they really trying to tell us? What are they trying to say about our behavior truly? I want folks to consider that when white people are operating and practicing whiteness, a lot of times they're prioritizing what? Their comfort. They're prioritizing what? The written word. They're prioritizing what? The this or that thinking. Like, actually, I'm gonna read off. I'm gonna read off my notes because I actually have a little note about white supremacy and like the actions it takes to maintain it, because that's what we're talking about here. Some of us are still maintaining whiteness and colonized behavior. And if we're not black folks, and that's what I'm focusing on again, for black folks that are experiencing colonized behavior or feel like they're, they don't know how to decolonize, please reach out. My energy is that there are so many of us mixed folks who are like deciding to either be violent, lash out, band together to do some weird shit to the account. Like, again, I would rather focus on the folks that are going to be violent. But if there's anyone black that would like some links or anything, like, please reach out. I'm definitely down to chat. My energy is very much like, whatever you need, please hit me. If you're non-black, you will need to pay me. That's my energy at this point. I'm down to share as much as possible because, again, I didn't get here on my own. If nobody black decided to intervene when a bunch of mixed people were being harmful in a clubhouse room, I wouldn't be able to extend any kind of support to anybody. And so that's where my energy is coming from. It's coming from holding that there are so many black folks that have absolutely done so much more for me than they may ever know. And again, obviously, like, again, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm a super anything. I'm just trying to offer that, like, I have benefited from black folks' candor. And so I'm trying to share so that maybe someone more privileged than me will sit with the ways that, like, no one black owes them any labor, and that, like, anyone black angry, like, makes sense. Again, I'm trying to just hold that, like, there are so many moments where people held me and held my anger, and again, like, it was mostly black folk. And so I'm trying to hold that, like, there are going to be black folks who are angry for all types of reasons. And I want us to just, like, slow down the moment, ask them, can I get you a drink of water? Can I get you a snack? Like, try and offer something in the moment if you're noticing that there's anger. Because, again, righteous rage should be met with grace. It should be met with love and tenderness, joy and support. I truly believe that because, again, there have been so many moments where there were people being anti-black, and so many people came to my aid and so many people supported me. And as I talked to a friend last night, I was like, did anybody even bother to ask you, how can I help? And she said no. And that would have changed everything. And so I'm going to hold that as wisdom that we need in the collective. If you're seeing someone black struggling, especially as a non-black person, ask how you can help. And shit, even if you don't see them struggling, maybe check in and see if they have any projects going on, anything that could be using uplifting. I want us to consider what the fuck repair is going to look like when we live in a world that doesn't believe in reparations. We must take on that labor. And even calling it labor is wild because, again, it's not laborious to repair ruptures or to show up in a ways that, again, many privileged people do not bother. And I want to hold that this is not hard work. Like, I don't want to make it ever seem like I'm doing something so hard. It's not hard for me to consider people who, again, have considered me. There are so many Black folks who have done so many things to not only uplift Black people, but uplift everybody. So many times in history, Black folks chose to carry everyone and collectively. And so I'm choosing to consider the ways that I can show up and share with Black folks as abundantly as I've seen them share, but also consider that, again, there's going to be some Black folks that hate my fucking guts, and that's actually okay. Again, I'm not going to play like it don't hurt when people don't want to fuck with you. Oh, it feels so bad. Whatever. I just feel like, again, if somebody Black don't want to connect, that's not a failure. That's not a problem. But I want to name that, like, the expectation that every Black person is going to behave a certain way, except some certain people. It's insane. I just want to name that, like, my energy is like, I absolutely caused harm, and I'm aware enough to know that that's not where I should be starting or stopping, rather, at, like, admitting that, like, it should be okay. And now what's next? Like, what are we doing? Like, like, how are we changing behavior? Like, what's the transition? And again, that's my energy. My energy is like, what can we do now? And so again, I came here to talk about discomfort. I came here to talking about whiteness. I also paused for a second, but I'm getting back on my job. Like I said, I was going to share something about whiteness, and the ways that it operates. Naja, I hope we're doing well. I feel like I'm a little all over the place, but my energy is that, sitting with discomfort makes sense. Being in a position of privilege means that people will extend more grace to you, give you more time, to, again, get yourself together. It's the ways that I've definitely caused a lot of harm, and it has absolutely been underreported or communicated about. And again, the ways that, like, some people are forever marked by some very terrible, goofy thing that they said from, again, lack of guidance, lack of experience, and lack of having, just, again, elders that love them and show up for them and support them. There's just, again, there's many layers to white supremacy and how it operates. And I don't want to do too much because I don't think that any light-skinned person has ever actually been punished for damn near anything. But I want to name that, like, there are moments where I see some, like, fellow mixed people just, again, not know what to do, not know what to say. And that is that, again, like, even if we don't know what to do or say, just the ways that we don't take a moment to do some research, or, maybe offer to pay someone for their time, to ask a question if we really care so much. But again, I'm trying to hold that in the moment. I'm trying to uplift this thing that I shared, and I feel like I have to just go to Instagram at this point, because I don't think that I'm going to easily find it on Twitter. Which is unfortunate, because I feel like I share this pretty often, but I feel like I've been sharing a lot recently, so things are getting a little jumbled. But let me mute and go to my story. But if you go to the mushroom, it's in my story. Damn, bitch, my shit is private. This is so ghetto. Where's my other phone? I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm unprepared, but we got it. We got it. We on it. I'm so sorry. I feel like I left my other phone in here. I know. I'm bugging. I know. Damn. And this little hat getting hot as shit. This hat got me fucking goddamn. Damn, did I really lose my other phone? Damn, I gotta be this kind of creator. Damn. This is not cute. It's okay though. I know we're still on it. We're still in it. I'm still in it with you. We're still here. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. That's why I don't do that. Don't worry. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be silly and entertaining while I'm extremely unprepared. I hope it's working. Anyways, I'm gonna find this very quickly by pressing the media button. I don't know why I didn't just do that shit before. Very silly of me. Of course it's not there. I love that. Yeah. Okay. Yo, I post a lot. Okay, I found it. Okay. Wow. Okay. Also, it is boiling in here. Like, I'm so happy because it's winter, but damn. Okay, perfectionism is a part of white supremacy, which I think we can kind of see, like the ways that we worship like symmetrical faces, the ways that we are, telling kids to strive for A's, as if like, again, as if like this education material, like again, just the grading system, the ways that if the kid doesn't know something, like again, it's the ways that the bubble tests, the Scantron, the AI, the Chat GPT of it all. Again, it's like I've seen kids say that they worked hard on something and they got an F because their teacher said it was AI, and I was like, yo. And so again, it's like now your writing can be too perfect. You can literally like you can imagine getting an F because you wrote too well. I'm sorry. Either or thinking, as we talked about, individualism, the ways that again, like white people see themselves as like an individual. Like so many white people think that they're like a person, and so many non-white people think that they're a collective. And even that way of thinking as non-white people, the ways that again, like as I'm believing that I'm a black person, and like again, as identity politics shifted in this country, because let's be real, Obama was a shift in identity politics. And I really hate how whenever we talk about Obama, it devolves. And I'm not saying that it devolves here, but I'm saying like on the internet stage, the ways that people automatically see it as a dog whistle, which really sucks. Because again, it's the ways that like Barack Obama, even to this day, his tone about everything is weird as hell. It's weird as hell to me. But at the same time, I have to hold that, every mixed person is not going to sit with the ways they've been harming Black American people. Every bi-ethnic person, every biracial, like there are a lot of mixed people who will not sit with the ways that they've caused harm and or used the idea of a flattened black identity, this idea that like a certain color person, a certain color wife, like these rules that people have again assumed meant something. The ways it's so obvious to tell now that like identity politics was the Obama presidency. That was the whole point of it, to make black folk feel like something was happening here. And again, whatever you think was happening during the Obama years, I don't really care. Like, I don't think about them that often. But when you look back, it seemed like we were living in a better place and we weren't. And I have to hold that like we're being socialized into lack. Like we're being socialized into this moment. And again, it's the ways that like I'm never gonna say that people haven't been broke. Like that's not what I'm saying. But the quality of food, the amount of recalls, like they just recalled like a bunch of Tylenol, a bunch of stuff just got recalled. Y'all should look into that low key. Look into the recall that happened recently. It happened in like 4 states, but like the gag, they only know the states where the shit was recalled. They don't know the states where the shit was shipped, which has me like. And then there's moments where I'm like, is this real, or is this another moment where they're trying to make me think like all is lost? Because again, like I'm not so convinced that everything they're telling me that's happening is happening, but I'm also very aware that like white supremacy does use like this way of like bombarding you with information, like overwhelming you with information, which is what the Epstein files are. It's very much like a bombarding you with the idea that, this happened, this happened, this happened. And again, all the names, all the different names, like the ways that we're not talking about Epstein anymore, we're definitely talking about so many different people, which is the reason why they released them in this way and why they waited so long to release them. They wanted people to be fatigued already. They wanted people to, again, feast on the names of everyone else. We've been saying Epstein how long? Like they want to change the conversation. Getting back into it though, sense of urgency, the idea that things need to happen right now, like that is a part of colonialism. Like the idea that anybody can say, do this and you go. That is a part of whiteness. And I want us to consider times where we were colonizing our behavior, where we looked at someone, or maybe we were the older cousin and we said, you better go. Like again, that threatening, that comes from colonialism, that desire to hurt someone, and to make them think, you must do this right now for my benefit. That fear of, if I don't get this done in a certain amount of time. Because think about it. Think about what they chose to do on Earth. Think about what the colonizer chose to do. They chose to build these very unsound structures. They chose to colonize literally all the natural resources and funnel them into the housing systems. And like, they didn't really care about how safe or like, you know, ethical, green, hazardous it could be. And again, the ways that like so many people in the state I'm in like are living with like, lead in the water, hard water. I feel like I've shared this before. In New Orleans, every now and then, like more than like once in a 6-month period, you cannot shower because there is brain eating amoeba in the water. And if you don't have a 504 number, or I think it might be 504 or 978, you don't get the text message. So I absolutely took a shower when there was brain eating amoeba, and I ain't know about it till I got to Walmart, and I was the only bitch that had taken a shower, and it was obvious. And I was like, oh shit. And I heard people talking about it and learned as I'm getting some noodles that, oh, I just washed my coochie. I just washed my Bucci. I just washed my hair, my fucking face with brain eating amoeba water. That's so great. Again, we live in a country that was built very poorly. And they charging us to live in these conditions. And again, it's only getting crazier. Again, progress is bigger. That idea that like building bigger places to contain people is better than what the indigenous had. And again, this is not to say the indigenous were living lowly. It is to say that the indigenous considered their land or the structures they built as part of the earth, which is why a lot of indigenous structures early on were built with natural sustainable resources such as mud and clay. Like there were so many ways that like indigenous people considered what they could use without disturbing the land in a particular way. And again, the ways the colonizer was like, no, we must deforest. Like we must focus on using materials that are not as renewable. Like again, it's the way that the colonizers' ideas of progress just means take more resources, take more. Um, it says defensiveness. And again, who hasn't been defensive? Who hasn't had moments where they felt like I'm being challenged, and instead of sitting with the ways that that person might be coming at you or looking at you weird, or just again, like sitting with, how that person's not comfortable with whatever is happening, just amping up and deciding that this is a moment to fight, deciding that this isn't a moment to be more curious. And again, the way that curiosity and slowing down the moment, that is a part of indigeneity. That is a part of non-white behavior or anti-colonial behavior. We'll say that the idea that like we actually have to ask more questions, we have to get more information, we have to actually take some time to understand. And again, see how you're behaving because you can say anything, but what are you going to do? One right way. That is another one that goes with either or thinking because it's like, again, you can only have one right way if, again, we have a this and a that. A devil and a god, a black and a white, like that idea that like one is better, one is good, the idea that like we can only think in good and bad, evil and pure, virgin whore, like those, that way of thinking is given to us. The lack of nuance is again what primes us up to be at a point now where people really do not consider that that someone looks between your legs and then puts clothes on you and gives you a name and expects you to perform a certain way. Like we're still not at that point where some people realize that some of us are never going to be comfortable putting on a dress, wearing this or that color, deciding to grow our hair out or do our nails. What up, TLC? I hope you're doing well. There are going to be so many of us who like do not perform a certain way, and that doesn't change that they want to be called a woman. They want to be called she, her. But at the same time, we are in such a I think that unfortunately so many people are looking at the patriarchy in a way that again denies that like even the patriarchy tells men something that's not true. Like I feel like again, just like femmes will hate men in this time, there will be men in this time who start to dismantle with other men, with other femmes. Who knows? This is not me saying that there's good men. I'm not doing that. Just like I wouldn't say there's good light skinned people or good white people. Fuck this or that thinking. Let's consider that people are behavior, their language, their uh, capacity. There's so many layers in connection. And so for me, as I was saying in an older video that I will link because I feel like that video may help, because I feel like that video really did remind me that I've had low bars when it comes to white people. Like I've had white people in my life and I wasn't considering like the harm that they could do to people. I wasn't thinking about the ways that like I could be putting someone in danger by being like, oh, this is my friend. Like even the ways that I can be around white people and be signaling to people of color like they're trustworthy. Again, like these are things I wasn't ever told and I wasn't really thinking deeply about. And again, the ways that many people have asked me like how can you be with white people, like, and again the way that they would say how can you be with white people as if I'm with every white person. This is not me trying to split hairs. This is me trying to acknowledge that like race does dehumanize all of us, and I'm not saying that to name that like there are white people suffering just like black folk, not at all. They don't even know they're suffering. I think that that's another layer to this, is that white people are miserable and they don't understand why. And part of it is because they're being held to a standard that they're not there. Whiteness is fake. The idea that anyone is innately supreme, it's not real. So some of them are in hell every day because they could never measure up to the falsity. And then people like Donald Trump pay to seem like the white man. I wanted to just hold that a lot of this is performance. And so some people are performing in a way to get closer to certain people, to make you think something. Just like there are going to be some men who, again, think that being a man means harming women. Like there are some men that really think fulfilling that role is a certain behavior. And so I wanted to just hold that like it will be uncomfortable at times to hold that you don't like somebody or you don't like this or that thing. And maybe it's because when you were younger, them girls used to fucking bully you and be mean as fuck to you. Like there may have been like a lighter skinned cousin that was treated better than you and they look just like that bitch. Again, there are going to be moments where you see someone that looks like someone that has harmed you, or they are a part of a group of people that have harmed you. And again, the ways that white supremacy operates, it's so easy to be stuck on when white people cause harm and white people who are ops. It's much harder to hold when it's us, like mixed lighter skinned people who are, again, not likable. unlikable, or again, not worth your time because you have other things going on. You don't even have to fucking explain. But again, the ways I've seen an uptick in people thinking that like people hate mixed people. No one hates us. People are tired of us operating in many ways that can be very anti-black, very harmful, very manipulative. There's many things the mixed community has done. And before I go, I want to name that I've said this several times. The FBA ADOS movement, I believe that there are so many Black American people trying to hold on to, their identity. And all the while, there are many people who are flattening their identity to say that they're Black American and will use the term ADOS, FBA. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of mixed people flattening identity and lying about being foundational Black American. And I just want to say this before I go, because it's an important thing to say, and I'm really hoping people hear me. Black American people are different in their marginalization because there is no home. And I'm saying that because America is still not their home. The cracker stole it. We all must return it, meaning that there is no idea collectively of where anyone who is Black American is actually quote unquote from, which is why Black American culture, the ways Black Americans on this soil have again created so many culturally important things to again different states, different cities. Again, me listening more means me hearing that there are Black Americans in Chicago that are doing things that Black Americans in New Orleans are not. Again, it's a nuanced conversation, but the ways that bi-ethnic people who may have had a Jamaican dad and an American mother, people who again may have had African parents move 2 generations back to America and now you're a Black American. Again, the ways that like some of us have different stories. Some of us, our family thought this was a good place to come, which means that they must grieve as well. The lie. It's a lie. This is not a good place to come. And again, if you listen to deep dark skinned people, if you listen to Black people, you'll know that. But again, there are so many of us who have family members who came here willingly, who came here to start a quote unquote new, better life. On whose back? Off of whose opportunity? Like, I want us to consider that. So when we think that Black American people are being xenophobic, I want us to hold that like there was literally a bi-ethnic man a bi-ethnic, biracial man installed in the White House as the first Black American president, and folks don't understand why there's a tether conversation happening. I want us to think deeper about what Obama was really supposed to be for Black Americans. I want us to just think about it because, again, when I first encountered the conversation, I was confused myself. But again, I have to hold that there's a reason why people want to say it was just a boat stop. We're all Black. Like, there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a desire to, again, either sidestep reparations completely and or include many people in reparations that, again, I'm not trying to split hairs, but the reparations that are needed are, again, the restoration of Black Americans, like, period. It's deeper than money. And again, even the ways that me and other fellow non-Black people have talked about reparations only in the financial sense, only in the gaining sense. And again, the ways that at this point, I'm trying to uplift that there are so many ways to be repairing right now. Like, reparations can happen right now. There are ways to give right now. And I want us to think about that more than think about it. Actually look at the links in the comment section below because there will be some, because again, this is important to me. This is more important than anything else I ever fucking say, honestly. Like, this is the most important thing. Repair can happen now. There can be money and resources shifted into the Black community now, but I want us to think on the individual level. I want us to consider how we on the internet, see black folks all the time, see mutual aid flyers all the time. I want us to consider showing up for black American folks. This is not me saying don't show up for the Senegalese girls, the Ghanaian girls, the Nigerian girls. I'm never saying that. What I'm saying is black Americans have a completely different experience on this soil and have a completely different trajectory, considering that there are so many communities that are here that are, again, anti-black as fuck. As I said before, I'm living in New Orleans as a transplant. I'm from Connecticut originally. My dad's Jamaican. My mom is a wayward quadroon, octoroon, knows at this point. And I'm living in New Orleans. I'm reading tarot there. I'm paying maybe $300 for rent. To be honest, it was probably 125 to be real with you for a room to rent down there, back in the back in the back. This is when I was like what, like 23? 2013? Maybe I don't know, I don't remember, to be honest, but I'll say this, that like the rent was very fucking cheap, of course it was. And again, the ways that like I'm down there and I'm going to give a tarot reading to a biracial girlie and who has a white dad. And she's basically telling me that, like, she doesn't think people should be teaching about enslavement. She is a biracial woman who is teaching black children in New Orleans, and she doesn't think enslavement should be taught in schools. I'm fighting with her, and I'm looking at a deep dark skinned person who's from the Virgin Islands who literally tells me, I didn't know I was black till I got here. Again, I want us to hold that like this conversation is very nuanced. And unfortunately, I've seen some people bullying Black American people. And I want you to know, like, this is not a coincidence. There's a desire to have Black folks fighting. And the more Black folks want to unify, there will be more and more moments like this where it starts to seem like, what are Black Americans doing? Let's stop. Let's stop for a moment and consider that chattel slavery is the begetting of Black identity. That's what created the identity Black. Okay, there are people from outside of America that come here that find out they are Black, which means they're not Black. It's awkward, but again, if you find out you're Black, if someone has to tell you, that's how you know. Again, there's a game being played here. Race is spell work. Please listen to Black folk who are deep dark skin, who again are willing to talk about the erasure, because as much as it might not feel comfortable to be called a tether, some of us are. Some of us absolutely thought we were Black people, and we're not. And what's more important is that we start to repair the rupture and show up to repair. Don't show up to antagonize. Don't show up to make Black folks feel stupid or like they don't know the history of chattel slavery. It's not time for that. It's never been time for that. But again, it's the ways that I've seen some people really operate like they're going to bully Black folks into what? Accepting non-Black people? They've done it enough. Trust me, I know. Black folks have really, really opened their arms and been kind to many folk. And again, I'm considering that many times it was probably under duress. Many times it was at the desire to just not have to deal with a wayward mixed person gaslighting them more harshly or more violently. Again, as a mixed person who has definitely caused harm in Black spaces, I'd rather just tell the truth, because again, I know that there are people that are interested in Black folks believing that, again, I've seen people say we're all Black, everyone's Black. A lot of mixed people love to say that, but we're not all Black. We don't all have the same experience. And I know some people might think that this is diaspora wars. That's actually disrespectful. It's actually disrespectful to call it diaspora wars. It's not. Many people came to America after Black achievement, after Black folks did all the labor of freeing their fucking selves. Again, Black people freed themselves on this land. I need people to hold that like they have been harmed in a way that we do not respect. And I have to hold for myself that I did not consider the ways that my family is not Black at all, but they say they are and they benefit. They have community from that. And I want folks to just hold that like there are Black American people who are being pushed out of Blackness, who are being pushed out of who is a Black person, who is being pushed out of the again, it's identity politics on 1,000, because we all have seen someone that's not black be saying they're black. Like, we've seen it. I know I've seen it. I know recently I saw a bunch of black men talking to each other, and they invited a trans man, and it was a mixed man. And I was so annoyed because it's like, y'all really invited a whole biracial man? It's a black, it literally was called like Black Men Get Candid with Each Other. And I'm like, y'all really, like, again, it's annoying because I really like don't want to drag like anyone who created the podcast, but it's like the person who's on the podcast is like, again, a mixed person who's operating in black spaces as like a light skinned token. And it's just so frustrating because, again, I'm holding that like this is a real thing that can happen, that if we don't have, if you're around the wrong mixed people, you can get set back. If you have the wrong white person stewarding you, you could be set back. And so I'm just trying to hold the ways that like it wasn't just one person who told me I was black. It wasn't just one person who told me I was stupid for knowing I was mixed. Like, I've been told I'm dumb as fuck. Like, for knowing I have a white passing parent who's not black. Like, it's the ways that I've been called like so many weird names. And it's like, whoa. But again, when I was holding on to black identity, it was very rare anyone said anything, which is even more weird considering all the content I've stumbled upon where black women, a lot of black folks are being candid about mixed people, by ethnic people, folks who have, again, harmed black people, harmed black communities. And again, the ways that I've shared before, there are societies of mixed people. And I feel like, last thing I'm going to say, and it's not that important, but white people are mixed people, okay? I just want everyone to hold that. The whitest looking person, they are mixed. That's why they always talk about their 1%, 2% Nigerian. What's that? Dodecahedron? Dodecahedron? I don't know, bitch. But we'll say this. We'll say at least, I don't know what, 50 ancestors back there was somebody from Nigeria. Again, it's the ways that white people are just mixed people who keep on fucking the same phenotype. And again, if you look into quadroon balls, if you look into the gen du colères, if you look into like mixed societies, like this has happened before. All of this has happened before. There have always been mixed people who, again, elevated themselves over deep dark skinned people. And this is not the first time in history. And again, I don't want to be ahistorical when I'm communicating as if like, oh, this is a phenomenon that's just happening. No, it's been in place for a while. There's a reason why we don't talk about mixed race societies, the blue vein societies, the mixed people who were so light their veins could be seen as blue, and therefore they held themselves a certain way. The ways that white people uplifted certain folks who were not deep dark skin. And if they were, what else was happening? A lighter eye, a looser coil. The ways that like they came up with these names. They literally called bitches mongrel. That's the part that blows me. Like, if you ever read about like what they called mixed people, it's like quadroon, octoroon, skinteroon, mongrel, musty, dusty, fusty. Like, bitch, when I seen musty, dusty, fusty, I screamed. I screamed because, again, it's the way that white people were like, this is not someone black. But again, where are we now? Where are we now? What is the point of creating a list of mixes of people, of different multi-generational mixes? What is the point of creating all that language and then being like, nah, y'all are black? What is the point of that? What is the point? And I want folks to consider how white people created language around desire. And so black to them means labor, means chattel. Again, I want us to hold that like at this point in colonization, there are many people who, again, will tell me I'm black as a correct to my behavior. I want people to consider that. That, like, again, whiteness is cultural homelessness. It is. And so what black folks may think blackness is, to white people, it's not that. And I'm not saying anyone should care too deeply about what white people think. What I'm trying to offer, though, is that these words mean so much this is the oppressor's language, but we kind of needed to talk to each other, right? So that's how I'm going to leave you. I'm going to leave some comments or some content in the comment section below just so folks can have some things to chew on. Um, I hope that in this conversation you sat with your discomfort. I hope that you allowed yourself to again maybe journal or write down what these things said made you feel. You don't have to share them with anyone, but sitting with discomfort doesn't mean that anything bad is happening. It means that maybe you're ready to do something different. I know I am. Anyways, love you. Bye.